Hello and welcome to the second video in this series on the AQA A-Level Paper 1 Summer 2026 examination, which is of course AntSimulation. So in the first video I went through the code and went through all the different methods and everything like that. So good idea to watch that one first. One of the faults that I pointed out with the code is this, okay? This is to do with validation, so we'll do a bit of validation first. So if I start the program, it asks for a simulation number. Now, it doesn't tell me how many, what number it's after here. It's anybody's guess, isn't it, from that input. So if I put in 7, then the program crashes. Okay, so why does it crash? The reason is, if we go back up here, so it's expecting a value between 1 and 4 in this case, this switch case statement here. And if it gets a 1, this list of simulation parameters is populated with these values. Now those values match these these values here, and they're put in later in the code. But for the moment, it's a list. So if we go back to where the program fails, this here in this constructor, this public simulation here is expecting a set of system simulation parameters, but that list does not exist. So we've basically got an error because we're trying to pass over a value there that just doesn't exist. So how do we solve this? First of all, I'm just going to stop that program. Okay. So the problem isn't so much that the simulation is not an integer, because it's actually expecting a string. So if I was to put let's see, a G or hello or something like that, that wouldn't be a problem. The problem is that none of those case statements are picked up. We call up this constructor here, and there's no values in those lists because we've not gone through one of the case statements. So how do we solve it? Well, I'm going to set it up that if, well, first of all, if there's a default, let's go to the top. So I'm going to set up a do while here at the top. Okay. So I'm going to set up do, and then within that I'm going to set up a Boolean value. Whoops. Of valid sim. Actually, I need to do that outside the do for reasons I'll explain in a minute. Okay. I'm going to now set up that valid sim equal to false. Then I'm going to ask for the simulation number and the right line here. So I'm going to X that from there. I'm going to put that within here. And the other thing I'm going to do is put the curly bracket in. The curly bracket. Okay. Because we're putting several commands together here. Okay. So we've set the valid sim equal to false. We've asked for a simulation number and inputted it into sim number. Okay. We're then going to go through the switch case statement, and if it's a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4, everything is fine. However, if it's not one of those, we need a default. Basically, the default will run if if none of those options are correct. And that is, of course, supposed to be just a colon. And then we need to break out oh, come on. Right, there we go. All right, and we need to end that switch case, which we have here. And then we need to end the while do. By saying that while valid sim or not valid sim then it's going to carry on and go back and do the loop again. So let's just go through that code. Hopefully I've not made any mistakes. So we've set up a Boolean variable here called valid sim. We're going to do the whole of this until the correct input is put in. What might be helpful is to give the user a clue of what to put in. So we're going to put a 1 to 4 in there. We've set the valid sim equal to false. That should be true, actually. We'll assume it's true unless, yeah, so we're going to assume it's true unless it falls into this default here and goes round again. So let's give that a whirl. Enter simulation number, Let's go for A. Hello. 6, 1. Okay. So that works. Whoops, not quite. 9. Okay. So have a look at that code. Make sure you can follow it and have a go at that yourself.